first set will be played on Neo Planet S. Spawning in the top right-hand position as the red Terran from WOONGJIN Stars, nicknamed the Invisible Terran. His name is Light. And Light's kind of invisible, I think, in a certain weird way. It is?
Excuse me. Got something stuck in the throat for a few seconds, so that's why I was only responding with mms here and there.
I was
His
like,
opponent,
okay.
that's Green Protoss, playing for EGTO. His name is Oz.
Oh, cool, man. We got Christmas colors today. We got red and green. I am okay with this.
I'm also okay with this. And I'm also okay with the stats that we're seeing over here, because WOONGJIN Stars, they defeat EGTO in odd rounds, but when it comes to even rounds, EGTO defeated WOONGJIN Stars.
Interesting. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, overall, EGTL actually, they're on a 2-game winning streak. And overall, they've won 3 out of the last 5 of their games, which is actually really impressive for EGTL. WOONGJIN Star is kind of the opposite. They have won 2 games and lost 3. So generally, when it comes to the WOONGJIN Stars, they're the team that should win 4 out of the 5 almost consistently across the board, and EGTL goes like 1 and 4, basically.
Now, the magic number for WOONGJIN Stars is 2, as they only have to win 2 more matches to take first place spot in Pro League. And that's also given that KT Roaster does their best. You know, if KT Roaster loses the next one and WOONGJIN Stars wins today's match, then the magic number turns into 0 as WOONGJIN Stars solidify themselves.
And you know what? 0 is also a player on WOONGJIN Stars. The Illuminati, the government is listening to everybody. It was meant to be.
Always meant to be.
Except the government is actually listening to everybody, which is kind of scary.
Now, now EGTL, if you compare them in rounds 1, 2, and 3 to round 4, 5, and 6, when it comes to round 4 and on, they're on a 46.7 win rate. Not a 50%, but still doing much better than 7 and 14 back in round number 1.
And let's not forget that EGTL, they don't always have access to their full roster compared to the other KESPA teams out there. They generally will send their players off to events a little bit more often. And, you know, that's because, you know, it's a foreign team, and the foreign teams, they rely more on their sponsorships and exposing the sponsor names and stuff in these big tournaments with their players. And another big allure to these foreigner teams is that teams like Evil Geniuses and Team Liquid, they can send their players to these events. They have the funding, and their primary concern is not necessarily always Korea. It's cool. We got some foreigner StarCraft fans out there.
Now, EGTL, they've been in the last place spot since February 17th. So, if they win today, like you said, they're going to top KESPA teammate and they go into 7th place, which is going to be the first time ever for EGTL since February, which has been about 4 months.
Yeah. You know, I feel like the Coach Park effect is really starting to help out EGTL, but it's kind of one of those too little too late things. If he was here at the beginning of the season, I think we would have seen a completely different EGTL at this point. They would have probably been like on the verge of qualifying for the playoffs, and it's like, can they do it?
There'll be Samsung Khan.
Yeah, well, that's what Samsung Khan is right now, but I'm thinking that's what EGTL could have been. I like that Light is doing a lot of active scouting here. He's looking all around the map for potential proxies. That's Stargate play. That's very popular nowadays against Terran players, but instead we're just seeing a faster expansion from Oz. This is kind of more of his style on the matchup as well, but we do have a pretty fast factory here from Light. The Mothership Core, though, gonna scout it.
Yeah, Mothership Core is so good, especially on maps like this where it's so easy to scout into the opponent's main base. I'm still a little bit surprised that Light put the factory in a position where the Mothership Core can scout the base easily.
Yeah, a little oversight, if anything. Ooh, he's making a Widow Mine, though, so we have a starport on the way. I guess we could see a potential Widow Mine drop. Light may even just go for a full-on frontal attack based on the amount of Marines he's got, too.
Well, he's making more Marines behind us. The factory is done, and I want to see what he builds out of the factory as soon as the Widow Mine is finished, because usually what we see following up is two Hellions at the natural.
That Mothership Core is completely out of position here. If we see an attack from Light, and the Mothership Core is not going to be able to use the Nexus Cannon. The Twilight Council also scouted here, so that's going to be a really big tip-off here for Light.
Yeah, well, first of all, where is the Mothership Core right now? It seems like we do see it on the minimap. I think Light barely missed it.
All right, well, he's adding on 2 additional barracks. The Widow Mine and just chilling there. I think he's going to go for a drop, the medevac.
Of course he has to go for a drop. He went for the factory and then starport.
Yeah. Oh, look at this, though. Early blink from Oz here. Very interesting. We don't see this much anymore, especially on 2 base, even rarer. But, you know, this is a map where you can blink into the main base pretty easy and then blink out. So yeah. I could see it actually working pretty well here if our player Light doesn't understand exactly what's going on.
But Oz still needs to be careful because he's trying to make the most out of the Stalkers. If we have 3 Stalkers against this many Marines, it's good because now he could kite all day long. But the problem is there is a Widow Mine drop happening, and now it's going to run around and go inside the main base. And a really fast third Nexus from Oz.
Huh. Very interesting. This is something that you don't generally see in PvT, so quite a new and essentially exciting build here from Oz.
But he also needs to play this perfectly because if he doesn't use a blink to the fullest potential, he's going to die to drops.
And it would actually be really interesting. Yep, the Nexus is going to be scouted here. The drop, I think, should be... there's no way that was seen, man. That was so fast. But, never mind. Looks like he was ready for it, and the drop going to get deflected quite easily here.
Well, Oz already knew that there was a factory out, so he knew that there had to be some kind of drop play following up behind us, or even a cloak Banshee. Yeah. So that's why he's left some Stalkers inside the main base, going for a blink right after, knowing that Light has to deal some damage right now. Yeah,
so it seems like Oz has actually gotten himself into a very nice position in this game, with a really weird and wonky opening, turning out into something very, very pleasing.
Yeah, so what Oz really needs to do is fortify the third base and get enough units out to defend against the second wave of army, because Light, I'm pretty sure that he's going to push out soon and he's going to pressure the third base. He does not like the fact that Oz went for a really quick third Nexus.
Something really important to note, no third yet for our Terran player. He's going to move across the map, and look at this, the Observer Scout said, okay, we have a third command center behind this. Stim not yet complete, same with combat shields, so the +1 and Stim should finish around the same time. That Marine just kind of chilling there, being a lookout. The third Nexus is already going to be complete here, and Oz, he knows what's going to happen. He should be able to have his force fields ready in time, and even killing off that pylon's not going to supply block our Protoss player here. With the Nexus cannon, there's no way that this attack is going to be successful.
Scans go down as Light, he sees the units and he knows he can't press forward.
So, I mean, even though Oz went for early third, I felt like it was so early, and the build openings kind of favored him so much that, you know, it worked out for him, man, and he's gained a pretty nice, solid lead now.
Now, what he needs to still watch out for are all these medevac drops that Light can go for.
And also,
now, Oz does have the blink. He could defend against the medevacs easily, but only if he has the Stalkers in position.
Yeah, something else to note, there's an Artosis pylon at the natural, powering those 3 gateways and the robotic space. So that's something that you'd think that the pro gamers would learn by now, but they don't. You know, it'll happen once in a while. It's just an oversight to a lot of players. And here comes the drop into the natural. Nexus cannon going down, though. An additional warp in. The drop gets scared away instantly. And the additional pressure here, it's, you know, going to be annoying, but all we need is some good force fields and a little bit of Terran units being out of position. The Colossus now added to the army. Oz is actually ahead in supply over his opponent. It's going to come down, I feel, to unit control for him, whether he wins this game or not.
Yeah, well, like you said before, he got a really fast third up, and there's no reason for him to start falling behind in supply. So right now, he's doing a nice job defending against drop. You know, what I was really worried about was an attack into the third base while also a drop at the natural. That's what Terran players love to do. Attacking 2 places at one spot, Oz, he defended it easily, and now he has a nice supply advantage over his opponent.
I also want to point out the overall observer placement for our EGTL player. Very solid. He's got observers all over the map, making sure that his opponent can't catch him off guard. And it looks like we have a potential attack here from Light. Also dropping in the natural. Nexus cannon going down. The natural going to go ahead and pick off the medevac as well. This is a one-way trip for these Marines, and at the same time, we have a big attack here from Light, but he doesn't have enough units in his army composition.
Yeah, well, he has a few Vikings back at home just chilling out as he needs to bring them back into the main army, excuse me, and just fight along with it. But that's a lot of zealots right now. In fact, Oz is the one who should press forward for the attack, and Light is the one who needs to buy a little more time.
And actually, I think a lot of workers were killed at this natural. Holy crap, 21 workers killed with these drops here.
You can't just rely on the Nexus cannon.
Yeah, I mean, it's good at deflecting some things, but I think a cannon or two there would have been nice, or at least a warp in. And I agree with you. I mean, I think Oz, he's in a good position. I think the biggest issue, though, is that he is 0-0 for upgrades.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just realized
that. I'm like 14 minutes into the game, and you don't have the double forge going for the upgrades? Whoa.
Yeah, that's going to be the real kicker here for him. Supplies are still looking pretty close. The advantage that Oz has is all of his tech, and he's got Charge, Blink. Storm is now complete as well. The double forge going down now, but Terran player is going to be ahead in the upgrades throughout the game. Oz needs to start his upgrades immediately.
Like, he needs to start chrono boosting everything right now.
I'm like looking like, where are the upgrades, Oz?
Well, the upgrades for Light is great right now, going for the +2, and it's going to finish pretty soon, but he also needs to be careful because he thinks that he has a nice unit composition, but the Storm
goes down. Nice feedbacks as well.
Well, look at this. We have an STV train coming down.
Choo-choo, but is it going to be enough? There's already Archons being added into the mix here.
SCVs need to be in the front, but those Archons are getting picked away. Really nice play by Light. He knows what he's supposed to do at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of Zealots in production here. He's got Storm in this army composition. This attack, it's not going to work. Light, he can try. And look at this. A Zealot run by at the third, going to equalize the workers' kill count. This is just becoming worse and worse for Light as time goes on. The 1-1 starting now for Oz as well. He's behind in upgrades, but ahead in every other way. Look at the supplies, 195 to 150. Storms go down, hitting a lot of this army. The Viking count very high, going to pick off the rest of
but that was really nice. Storm dodging from our Terran player Light as he could land the Vikings and start eating away on the Zealots. There's still a lot of high templates in the back, but all Light has to do is start migrating away with his Marauders.
Yep, and there's Archons added into the mix here. The Zealots have been picked off your forward blink, and there's just no units left for Light. It looks like Oz is going to get his first victory against a Terran player, and a convincing one at that in Pro League. I don't see anything else that Light can do following this attack. He's down to 55 supply. The SCV count 37. GG! Oz showing a lot of improvement over his stay at the EGTL house and defeating Light in the first set. Gotta say, I'm actually pretty impressed with everything that he pulled out today. The only mistake was the lack of forge upgrades.
And the key to defending against an attack like that is to get every single tech out. Like what Innovation said, the key in this SCV pull is to hit your opponent before the tech switch happens. If you see Templar Archives going down, then go for the Ghost and go for a strong push before Colossus comes out. If your opponent goes for Colossus, hit the attack before the Storms come out.
Yeah, Oz actually, he just simply outplayed Light that game. That's as simple as that.
I'm also not impressed that Light actually went for that, given the fact that he killed a lot of probes at the natural base. He knew that he had a nice advantage. I mean, yes, he was trying to press on the advantage with the SCVs, but I don't think it was the right decision at the moment.
All right, well, on that note, score 0-1, EGTL in the lead. The next set is going to be Free versus JYV, a PvP on Fighting Spirit. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this commercial break.